That looks good to me. Until they're friends, okay. Oh, now that's friendship. Becomes a number 9. Okay, there it is. Adjust the slider until you stop adjusting the slider. I like it there. Which of the two made-up words below is most appealing to you? Scrumtush? Occuboinkle? I like this one more. Don't adjust the slider. I like it there. Do you know what time it is right now? No. I do. Is the time that it is right now the correct time? Yeah. What time is it anyway? No. Is there anything about yourself that you haven't told me? No, I've confessed everything. Help. Yes. Will you come back to visit me? It depends. Kind of a loaded question. Alright. We're hopping back into the number 2. We're in 2 worlds.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Is there anything different
Stanley
about
worked
this?
for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
There's
Employee
balloons.
number 427.
I think we gotta skip that. Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I don't exactly remember what I was doing.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could
I
it
know
mean?
there's a bucket
Stanley
that I
decided
love.
to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ooh, a meeting today. Alright, so let me
The
grab my
confusion and the chaos
bucket.
all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket.
That's right, it's my bucket friend. Heard of a bucket hat? How about a bucket pal? A bucket buddy, oh my god. The ideas are flowing today.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
so
to his
I went
chest
through the
and
left.
entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
I trust my bucket wholeheartedly.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room?
A little
Yes,
bit,
Stanley
yeah.
thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was.
I mean, there's drinks
How
here.
insightful the bucket turned
There's a
out to
plant
be.
in the corner. This is all I could have ever asked for. I gotta turn my game up. This shit quiet.
No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Alright. I suppose I'll do this.
And so the
this
two of them
time.
detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Haven't done this yet with my bucket. I must try everything possible. Oh, does this just
good
take me?
Stanley, I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place
Ooh.
eventually.
We care about you, Stanley. Well, thank you.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before.
But
Yes,
it's
I know
my-
I'm the one who gave
it's
you the
my
bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
Can't
Don't
take
you want
away
another
my
story
bucket.
involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it.
I kind of like my bucket. Hi, baby. Alright, I guess that's it.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh,
It is
and
a
it
little
played some
wacky.
silly music as well.
Ooh, okay.
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue? Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Whoa.
It's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
No. No, I won't do it. It's my bucket. I'll give you my shoe. I don't have legs, though. So... maybe I already gave you my legs. Oh, I don't want to lose my bucket, buddy. Whoa. It's getting dark over here. Telefono? Boys.
Don't you
Chill.
get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
New character.
This is the Bucket Destroyer.
I don't like this.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me, it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does?
I
Surely
don't
you don't
wanna
need me to spell
think
it out
about
for
it.
you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Can I go into the bucket destroyer?
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
I won't do it. It's my friend.
The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
I think I broke the game. Oh, there we go. Okay.
All of his co-workers were
How are
gone.
you gonna
What
do
could it
this to
mean?
me?
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, He couldn't find a trace of his... Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Boop.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
I'm home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than
Copy,
the meeting
please.
room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, but no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
What if I go this way? Ah, trapped. Well, this is the way I wanted to go anyway. Oh. Whoa. How can we find him? There are many questions. No memo from management. I need to know. How can you tell you've spotted one? What makes them float? Who took these pictures? That's so true. Who took him? Follow clues provided by employee 416. There will be a reward for finding them all. Oh my god. Oh, this is... Oh, okay. Okay, this is what I needed. A large room, lots of boxes. Somewhere both red and blue. Okay. Well, I'm ready to find them all. I just...
Oh, Stanley,
just
can
need
you
to
feel
find
it?
them.
The broom closet. It wants the bucket. You can feel that, can't you? The aura of jealousy. It's coming to a staircase. Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the
Place
boss's office.
red and blue. I don't remember. I already went down here. But I also went up here, didn't I? I feel like I can turn back down here, right? Or no, this closes. And then I go insane. So I'll try up here. I don't really understand where I'm supposed to go to find them. I got this one already. Someplace red and blue. I mean, there's a lot of red here. The elevator doesn't do anything, and it's kind of confusing. Have to see if it does anything if I just sit here. It's my duty. must do something. I don't know. I don't think it's doing anything if I just sit here. I feel like something should have happened by now. But here I am, just waiting patiently. What do you think, Bucket? Should we just hit the button? And we're back. Like we never left.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always.
2845?
The bucket would. And he knew it.
I don't remember.
The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
I remembered.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
What if I just stay here? So many questions. No, I wanted to go up. Want to go up.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate.
That's my
It would be
favorite
all
thing.
Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Does this do anything?
Wait, Stanley said to the bucket. Can we go back up? When I was pressing those keypad buttons, there was something very intriguing about the number 3. I want to go back so I can try pressing the number 3 again. The bucket said nothing.
I'll press the number 3. I ain't scared. Number 3 doesn't scare
Here we are,
me.
said Stanley. Now I'm going to try out that number 3 button. He took the bucket over to the keypad and began absolutely slamming on the number 3 over and over and over. Wow, he said. The number 3 is such a special button. I'm having the time of my life. Stanley looked expectantly at the bucket, but the bucket remained silent. This was a shock to Stanley, who had always felt such a connection with the bucket. How was this not as exciting to the bucket as it was to him? Once Stanley had had enough of the number 3, he got back in the elevator.
What if I really like the number 3? Just the 3 of us. feel like that's not getting me anywhere. I'll go back.
Perhaps the bucket had missed something. Perhaps it had not seen how much joy Stanley got from slamming the number 3 repeatedly.
There was a lot of joy. I did enjoy it.
A hint of regret nagged in the back of Stanley's mind. Should he demonstrate the number 3 for the bucket again?
Okay.
No, said Stanley to the bucket. You can't go on yet. Not till you understand how much the number 3 means to me. You and I have been through so much together, and I just want you to see what I see. Feel the happiness I feel. He smiled at the bucket, and the bucket said nothing.
Me and my bucket. Doing bucket things. Number 3. Pick number 3, my lord.
Here we go, said Stanley. This time I'll really show you. He ran to the number 3 and began to wail on it like a musician on a beloved instrument, weaving a concerto of truth and passion. He wielded the number 3 like a fine artist would wield a paintbrush. He told stories through the number 3, stories of his dreams and hopes and fears. And the whole time, he looked to his bucket for a reaction of some kind. Anything to let him know that the bucket appreciated what he was doing.
I know it appreciates
The
it.
bucket conveyed absolutely nothing at all, only silence. Crushed by a wave of dejection, Stanley returned to the elevator.
What if I do the thing again?
Stanley and the bucket were so close. They'd always been there for one another. Why
True.
suddenly could the bucket not connect with this passion of Stanley's? The question caused Stanley to ruminate the whole way down the elevator. He knew that there must be a way to get through to the bucket, to communicate fully with his dear friend. Surely there was a solution, mustn't there be?
Is there any more, or is this going to be pointless? No, I think this time it was pointless.
Said Stanley. I know what to do. I know how to fully express this feeling in my heart.
Push to number
He
3.
decided right then and there that he would hold a press conference where he would speak to the public on all matters relating to pressing the number 3 over and over. He would elaborate fully on what the number 3 meant to him and why he felt so alive when pressing it. Then the bucket would be able to see his joy through the eyes of others. It would get to see the world react to this discovery of Stanley's. And it would be through the public eye that the bucket would finally understand Stanley's work.
Ooh, I did it. I got something new.
For months, he advertised and marketed his press conference, building excitement around it, developing and rehearsing it, until it couldn't be refined a single measure further. When the big day arrived, Stanley was as prepared as he'd ever been for anything in his
You
life.
went to Mars? Cool. The world peace, baby. Aww. Was that a Minecraft door? Is that how all doors have sounded?
This was it. One last chance to win the bucket over. One opportunity to share a true connection with a loved one.
The wallpaper is like eyes staring at me. Alright, someplace red and blue, and let's say something about pizza? The dude who came up with pizza. Hold on. That's my kind of dude. Thank you. What's over here? Oh wait, this is where I came from. Alright, someplace red and blue, someplace full of boxes.
There was no one here. Nobody had come to the press conference to hear Stanley speak, to listen to him
Aww.
talk about what it really means to press the number 3 on a keypad over and over. He was unloved, uninteresting, he was a failure, and in that moment Stanley knew that the bucket would never again take him seriously. There would be no connection, no deeper understanding. The bucket merely sat there in his arms, indifferent. And so it began that slowly, over many years, the two of them grew more and more distant. They spoke less and less, neither wishing to state the obvious, that any sense of real respect between them had eroded since that day at the press conference. There would be no more games, no more long conversations about passion and pursuit, only a silence that consumed the space between friends. And Stanley, having for once in his life discovered the warmth and comfort of true companionship, was cast back into the unremarkable normalcy of loneliness.
Uh, no.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
What if I just don't go? I could hide right here until my coworkers come back. I feel like I kind of have to go. It's not doing anything. What a nice view. Maybe I'll hide and surprise them when they come back. And I'll go, hello. Hmm. I suppose I have to continue. Okay, okay. I'll go. Output received. What if I ignore my bucket?
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Do I need to find 3 more computers? That's what it seems like. I got 2.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I don't know what else I can do.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was it about this room that called so deeply and so personally to Stanley? Its grace? Its subtle charm? No. Stanley knew it was something deeper, something darker.
Is that it? Who farted?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
I agree.
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why everyone left.
I scared them off. It was my love of the
Stanley sat
break
around
room.
waiting for more dialogue. But when a long time had passed and there was no more, he decided that the game was trying to send him a message.
Yeah. But I'm gonna wait anyway. 'Cause it seems like there's always more. More dialogue, please. Kinda seems like that's it.
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
Oh, is this? I'm not lying.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Is this the room full of boxes? I mean, it is a room full of boxes. Ooh. How do I... Okay. There it is.
You're getting close now, Stanley. You've nearly gotten all of the Figler anlarines. Very soon, you'll collect the last one, and then the first number will equal the second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them, and now we have them all.
Well,
you can't go back to when you had
not
no
yet.
Figler anlarines. None of us can.
So I still have to find some place that's red and blue. I'm not entirely sure what that means.
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. So far off the beaten path that it seemed the office. You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, bucket. What if I take my bucket to that same
Stanley
place?
picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift. Good,
Said the bucket.
now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Sorry, bucket. A little detour. 2B1. To B3.
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless... What if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness. I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
Kinda scared.
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket?
No.
Correct. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Ha. I knew that. Because I know buckets.
Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Easy. Give me something harder.
Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Oh no. My perfect score.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? What? Are you hallucinating? This is a tractor. It's an enormous machine that tills the earth. I thought this was a gimmick. How on earth did you manage to screw it up? Absolutely incredible. Let's just move on to the next one.
It's definitely a bucket.
Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
That's what's up. I'd say I'm doing pretty
Item
damn
6.
good.
Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
Didn't get me though. I got it right. I know what I'm doing here.
Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere.
Yes.
Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket?
Well, the bucket is everything.
You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry.
I choose the bucket.
I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely.
No.
Okay, here we go.
No. No.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket? My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue. But it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know
Okay.
that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
Here we go. Okay, so now I have to...
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Was the bucket gone? No, it's still there. Alright, I gotta try that again now with...
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, truly, truly, deeply, madly love.
Is that it?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
Worth it. Any more dialogue before I try that again?
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered
Yeah, I
on
heard
creepy
that one.
and reflected, but at last he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
Red and blue.
Give me a
Yeah.
chance. And there it is. The last Stiggly Wiggly. Savor this moment, Stanley. This is a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward. I would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say, it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
Sweet.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Now I'm gonna have to do this twice.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped. And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Hey. What if I just keep going around and around?
do we want? What are we looking for?
I don't really know.
Here. Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Nah.
No, wait. Where are you going?
I'm gonna go this way.
Oh, no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing. No! Oh, thank God you lived. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this? Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
I
My
have to hit
God.
trick shots.
Is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly? Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask.
I'm getting
It
slower.
looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it? I'm going back.
Damn it. Alright, I gotta try the blue door now.
Stanley,
Whoa.
I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on things. It's those figurines. Those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last one. Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone? I would love
Okay.
nothing more than to revisit the figurines. Just one more time.
Um,
Here's where it all began. The first collectible. Back then, we had no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain? We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley. And here was a second Stanlerine. I'll be honest, back then I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6. But you continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways. Okay, let's do a little quiz. Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini Stan? Can you remember?
I think it was the bathroom.
Hey, that's exactly right. It was here in the boss's bathroom. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3 of them. I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised. After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third time doing anything. Let's see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a Figley in this pink room. Oh, well, I can't actually say I remember being in this room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
I mean, I'll take it. I don't recall doing this one.
This was the 5th mini Stan, and this one was really something special. It was in the warehouse. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
Hey, hurry up. On a time limit here.
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything else.
All right. Back on the move again.
And then, Stanley, we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other, except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
I want to. Oh, they both go to the same place.
And then there was no more, because we've caught up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, Memory Zone.
Wow. Is that it? Am I back at the...
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the Memory Zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
I don't have time to do this again.
Okay, yes, the room with the red and blue doors. I remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the Memory Zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going, I want more. And here's where I made that video. Don't you remember the video we watched?
No!
Yes, I love that video.
Speed run. Speed run.
Still don't remember the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good room, though. A solid room. These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have neutered the intrinsic joy of collecting them. I'm very glad we resisted the temptation. Next one.
Hurry, 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 hurry.
This was our second Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too. The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to leave it? Keep going. This is it, the very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines. Oh, I want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this? Look, it's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then, but time does put a rosy filter on everything. In fact, I dare say I'm actually quite fond of it. Oh, yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this one. And before everything else, there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office? There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
Is that it?
Yes, I'm remembering something now.
No.
I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy. And I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions. He would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play
Come
with.
on.
You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory?
Oh, I
Let's
don't
go
have
back just
time.
once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good. I did enjoy telling his story so very much. Okay, here we go. This is the story of a man named Stanley.
All right.